This is Sawyer Robertson, and you're listening to the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.
Welcome into the Bearcast on SicEm365.com. I am here with Colt Barber. Today we're going to talk about the college football conference schedule that has kind of come out for Baylor specifically. A few games have been announced, the non-conference for the Bears. But first at the top, we got to talk about what happened yesterday as Baylor redshirt freshman defensive lineman Alex Foster passed away due to gunshot wounds, is what everyone has been saying, what the report has been saying. And so a really sad situation for this Baylor program, something that feels unimaginable and something that I just can't imagine how the players on the team have been feeling. I've been seeing stuff on Instagram, Twitter, or all kinds of social media, just the sadness for what happened. And as someone who got to know Alex during his recruitment a lot, it was really tough. I went back and listened to an interview with him when he signed with Baylor and was like a huge get for the Bears in that 2024 recruiting class. And just listening to him and seeing him talk, it just was really, really tough day yesterday for everyone who got to know him and who did know him, and for the program and the coaches as well.
Yeah, I mean, just terrible. I mean, you talk about all the times of like guys, having their life taken too soon, and this is a great example of that. And obviously, speculating on details is difficult because we don't know what happened. We know how he died. We know how he passed. We don't know the circumstances around it. I'm sure more information will come from that in the future. But I mean, everything that you saw about him, always smiling, bright future, like just full of potential, and a guy that I don't want to say he was forgotten on the roster, but he redshirted last year, was expected to continue to contribute into the program. And that's just, I mean, I don't know how to express it. As a dad of myself of 3 young kids, like I could not imagine. And it tears you up, and you almost, for my sake, I almost don't want to think about it. Like I don't want to think about that possibility. But it is there, and just prayers to his family, everything that they're going through right now. And then also to all the people who got to know him at Baylor. I mean, you saw all the tweets and social media posts, and they were all of the same vein. Like everyone just seemed to enjoy him and be around him. I did not get to know him like you did through recruiting process, but it just seemed like he was just kind of a ball of light and just great personality, and a kid coming from out of state to come to Waco and then returning home, and this happening is just adds a whole new layer to it. And you just hope that his family is dealing with it okay. I can't imagine though the feelings that they're going through right now.
He was just 18 years old. Supposedly he was going to come back to Baylor over this weekend as well. So as move-in date is kind of around the corner, feels silly to really talk about kind of like roster implications or anything like that, just because this situation's so unprecedented. But definitely praying for Alex and for his family and just what they're going through. I can't imagine. I'm sure a lot of Baylor players are probably going to make their way to Mississippi for the funeral as well. So just praying for them and hoping they can get through this tough time. And it was really tough for Baylor, the Baylor community in general. Like everyone on our website, just, pouring out prayers and love to the family, and on social media as well. It was really impactful and cool to see kind of the community just come together and for him. And so, yeah, really tough story, tough situation. Just, I mean, unimaginable. Real quick, Sawyer Robertson has something to remind you about.
Want the latest information about your favorite team? Try out SicEm365 premium content the next 3 months for just $5 by clicking the link below.
And now back to the Bearcast. So moving forward from that, let's talk a little bit about this kind of non-conference slate that has come out for the Bears. There were a few times announced. So the ones that we got this week, we got SMU, or the first game of the year is Auburn versus Baylor on August 29th. That game will be at 7 p.m. on Fox. That was announced officially today. The other games that got announced were Samford, which will be at 11 a.m. On ESPN Plus, and then SMU will be at 11 a.m. on the CW. So those are the 3 non-conference games for the Bears. Of course, 2 of those are at home with Auburn and Samford, and then the SMU game is on the road. So what do you think about kind of this scheduling announcement? I think we kind of thought this would be the case for the Auburn game, but the other two games were significantly more up in the air, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, the Auburn game, 7 p.m., you knew it was going to be a night game, being on a Friday night. You're not going to have a mid-afternoon game, morning game on a Friday night. So that's going to be a really cool atmosphere. That can't be understated. For it to be on Fox, a big national stage for a Friday night game between Big 12 and SEC. We're going to get into this in a little bit, but these rivalries between conference to conference, especially for the Big 12 to have an opportunity to get a big win, adds a whole new element to this in the playoff implications and everything. But that's going to be a really fun atmosphere. I mean, just Auburn, potential top 25, top 15 type team. Baylor, potential top 25 preseason team. Friday night. Like, when's the last time McLean Stadium's had an atmosphere like that for a two top 25 teams on a evening game? I know it's going to be on Friday, but this is a really cool opportunity. I guess you'd probably have to go back to, I mean, heck, was it even 21? I know they played Texas and Oklahoma, but those are both early or afternoon games and not night games. So this should be a really cool opportunity for Baylor fans and obviously for the Baylor team to open the season, not late November game. This is a season opener, something to really anticipate and build towards to begin the season.
Yeah, I think 2019 versus Oklahoma was the game that came to mind. That night game was probably the last, big prime time game that Baylor had with, College game day and all of that. This Auburn game is going to be a big one. I mean, this is probably going to be two ranked or borderline ranked teams. When the AP poll comes out, they'll probably both be very close. The winner will almost undoubtedly be ranked after the game. It should be a very entertaining one. I was trying to think, as far as non-conference games go in a night atmosphere like this, I was having a tough time thinking of a non-conference matchup with kind of this nighttime, this great crowd that Baylor's really had. It's been a long time since they faced a non-conference opponent like this at this type of time. I don't even know how far back you would go, but I know for sure during, 2012 through, 2016, they didn't have anything like that. And I can't think of any time either when Rule was here or Aranda being here either. So this is a definite change and a very cool atmosphere on a Friday night as well. I think it'll be pretty awesome and should provide, Auburn fans who travel to the game a very good sense of, how cool McLean Stadium can be when it's really rocking.
Yeah. So those non-conference games would have been Duke. Wasn't Duke. The home game then was a terrible game for Baylor, but it was an afternoon game. I remember it being extremely hot for that game. And then after that, 21 would have been BYU, a non-conference game. That was in the afternoon. And then you're just kind of looking at Utah was an afternoon game, but there was not really many opportunities for that.
No.
So
it was BYU
game,
night game, but that was in
at
Provo,
BYU. Yeah, exactly. So Baylor hasn't had this, and I'm thankful for it. And we're about to talk about the SMU and the Samford games, but I'm thankful for a night game in the non-conference because those early morning games in September, they're obviously afternoon games when it's 105 instead of 95 are brutal. So to have a late August, early September night game against a major opponent should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move to the SMU game. 11 a.m. on the CW in Dallas, a road game. I think that kind of mentioned this. The crowd shouldn't be amazing for an 11 a.m. game. I do think there will be some fans there, though, because I do think SMU is going to have great expectations for this year. Baylor as well. I do think it will be a heavily attended game. So getting 11 a.m. on the road, I don't think is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, you play a game on the road, you want to play it early and get it over with. The anticipation doesn't build too much. We go back to that Colorado game last year that you kind of vividly remember. The atmosphere was made such a big deal, then Baylor ends up laying an egg at the end of that game when they had every chance to win it. But you have those opportunities, get them out of the way. You play which will be a good, solid SMU team. Play them early in the morning. You hope that the crowd's not too into it. Maybe it's hot that day. I mean, you're talking the middle of September. It might be 95 degrees at 11 a.m. You just never know for those types of games. And honestly, it's been a long time since I've been to Ford Stadium. there to watch Baylor. I actually went to a Baylor game versus SMU back when I was little, so I don't really remember that stadium, but I imagine being where it's located, it's going to be pretty hot. So get that game out of the way. The player's going to be used to it from fall camp. You're not worried about that, and it's going to potentially hinder those fans if it's extremely hot in September. So SMU is going to be strong. They're going to have they did lose a lot, but they return a quarterback. They do return some pieces. But I think that Baylor in that early season matchup has the potential to go into there and get a win based on what SMU is having to replace, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. It seemed like they lost a lot. I might be misremembering that, but it seems like they lost a lot on that side of the ball.
Absolutely. I went to the game in 2015 when Baylor played at SMU, and it was a night game, and there was like no one there. It was a very empty atmosphere.
Different than what they expect this year.
Yes. SMU has definitely flipped the script again and gotten back to playing really, really good football, really competitive football. But that was my only experience there, and it was pretty interesting. And the game wasn't particularly close either. So that obviously played a factor into things as well. The final game time that we got was Samford at 11 a.m. on ESPN Plus at McLean Stadium. You mentioned this to me before we started recording. Baylor gets to pick the time for this game. And they chose 11 a.m., get out of the way, I guess. But an interesting choice here if it, in fact, was Baylor's choice to make it an 11 a.m. game in September.
Yeah, unless that's changed, and it could have in the offseason and we weren't made aware of it, but Baylor picks that time slot because in times when they've had one or two multiple ESPN Plus games, they kind of alternate when they're going to play morning or evening games. Well, for this one, to me, this should have been a no-brainer. You pick this as an evening game at home, even though it's Samford, even though you want to get away. Maybe this was a Dave Aranda thing. Hey, let's just get up and play. Let's not do this. But man, like, it's just like I mentioned for the SMU game. It's going to be hot, and you have less reason to be there if this game's 56-0 at halftime. Like it is what it is, right? Like it's going to be a game where Baylor's favored by 30 points, 35 points, whatever the spread is. But you want some semblance of an atmosphere. Like you want to have that opportunity for your fans to be excited about it and have a day of tailgating, have a day to build up towards this, and to pick an 11 a.m. kick, if they're still allowed to do that, is just foolish to me. It's going to be hot. It's not going to be fun for anybody that's sitting there. Tailgating is going to be non-existent, even though it kind of has been for morning games anyways, because it's so hard to do that. But it's truly not going to be there for this game. And you want to build on excitement, and to schedule this game for an 11 a.m. kick just doesn't make any sense to me. And I understand why not. You don't do 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, but make this game a 6 o'clock kick, and at least people are there in the fourth quarter of this game.
Do you think it's kind of just trying to make sure that you're prepared to play these 11 a.m. games because you're probably going to have to play at least a couple of them as the season goes on? And then the other question I guess I have that's maybe up in the air is maybe they have an indication of the Arizona State game potentially being a later in the day game or something. So they want to get more accustomed with the morning time.
Possible, but I mean, then again, like you're playing an 11 a.m. kick against SMU on the road the week before. So it's like, it's not like you're not having it. I just don't agree with it. And that's just my personal preference. There's reasoning behind picking that at 11 a.m. There's the opportunity for a crowd to get into Waco when they might say, I'm not coming to a late game because I have young kids. We're going to come to 11 a.m. That's my personal preference. Like my kids can deal with it one way or the other. Like they're either going to be there or not. I don't want an 11 a.m. kick for personal reasons. And I think a lot of people, diehards, feel that way. They want to tailgate. They want to enjoy it. And to take that away from them for what reason? This isn't Fox picking this. This isn't ESPN picking this time. This is Baylor saying we're going to play at 11 o'clock in the middle of September when the game ends and it's 105 degrees outside. No one enjoys that. And so that's the players will be fine. I'm not worried about the players. And it's Samford. You're going to be favored by 30 points more than likely. And it could be for something like you mentioned. I just don't agree with it because I don't like 11 a.m. kicks for any game, much less one that you have the opportunity to pick.
For sure. It definitely takes away some of that pregame environment and the tailgating and all of those things, building up the games and actually getting a really good showing from your fan base, especially for a game that you know is already probably going to be a little bit lighter attended just because of the opponent. But as long as they don't get the same situation they had 2 years ago when they faced Long Island and got that monsoon that just completely took away everything from that game. As long as that doesn't happen, I think it'll be A-okay that they're playing at 11 a.m. They get opportunities to play the night game against Auburn. And if this season goes the way that I think, a lot of people feel it will, they should have some more opportunities for night games as the season progresses as well. Get opportunities to showcase against some of the other top teams in the Big 12 to maybe make up for the fact that they are playing 2 11 a.m. games in their first 3 games.
Yeah, at the end of the season, if the season goes well, no one will remember this. It's a game that you win by 30 regardless, or 25, whatever it is. No one's going to remember this. It's just that moment of the game, driving to the game, being at the game. It just makes it less enjoyable. So we'll see, though. Like I'm excited for those 3 games specifically. I think the Auburn and SMU game are awesome. I'm really thankful that you get Auburn in the evening at home, and you get to go on the road and play an early game at SMU. Those are your 2 non-conference games that there's not many teams with 2 Power 5 games in non-conference. Baylor's set up perfectly for them to win both. Now they just have to go and do it.
Right. And we'll see. It could be a great start to the season for the Bears. We're going to be talking about that a ton as we go through the summer months. Colt and I will be back next week to talk about college football playoff, some new changes there that are coming, and also potentially talk about official visits as well as those get rolling starting next weekend. But for now, that has been it for the Bearcast. Thank you for listening today. This has been the Bearcast on SicEm365.com.
Join SicEm 365 Premium on a $1 for 1 month trial to read our experts' notes and insights. Know about high school commits, off-season transfers, coaching staff changes, and so much more before the rest. Also, download the SicEm 365 app on your iPhone today to get instant notifications of breaking news, read up on the latest inside info, easily interact with other Baylor fans on our forums, and get alerts for anything published by your favorite staff members.